Please adhere to YouTube selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be doing the first firing of my brand new $18 corncob pipe, which in specific is a Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman with a bent stem. And this is actually a pipe that I have been wanting for some time now. For the last couple months now, to be precise, as this pipe has a little bit of a deeper bowl than not when compared to some of the other corncob pipes that I have, and because I've also heard some very good things about this specific model of pipe. As a whole, I am very excited to smoke out of this pipe right here for the first time, and I am very excited to let you guys know just how good or just how bad the $18 Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman corncob pipe that I have in my hand right now actually is. I am very excited for today's video, to say the least, and I'm also very thankful to one of y'all for having been kind enough to actually give me this pipe right here. Thank you so much to Torin for having been kind enough to give me this pipe right here, for having been kind enough to send this pipe over to my P.O. box for me to make a video all about. Thank you so much once again to Torin. I really do appreciate it, and as I'm sure is obvious, I am very excited to smoke out of this pipe for the first time, and I am very excited to just see how it is in general. But I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and start going over the look of the pipe itself. After that, I should probably go ahead and introduce the tobacco I'm going to be smoking today, and then I should probably go ahead and get some of that tobacco in this pipe right here. And then after that, I should probably go ahead and actually get to smoking out of, well, my $18 Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman corncob pipe for the first time. And then after that, I suppose I should probably go ahead and just continue smoking and see how this pipe actually is. And once I'm done smoking, I suppose I should probably give you all my final thoughts on this pipe and let y'all know whether I think it's actually worth $18 or not. And then after that, I'm gonna go and end the video right there. But first off, as said, we gotta go over the look of this pipe. And as a whole, I think this pipe has a fantastic, much more rustic look than not to it. We can see the bowl of the pipe itself is of course made of corn cob, and it has a little bit of a sort of smooth varnish on it, I definitely have to say. But we can definitely tell that there's some major rustication going on, especially in the middle right here. And I'm pretty sure that rustication was achieved by doing some light burning all the way around the cob before applying the varnish to it. As a whole, I think it has a very nice look to it, frankly put, and I really do like just how the rustication looks. At the very top right here, we can see that sort of like normal corn cob, sort of like yellowish beige color, I definitely have to say. But then we can see like there's some light purple right there, and then we keep going down, and then there's like some black down there and everything like that, and then we keep going down, and then we hit the normal sort of corn cob color once again, and then just stretching around. That rustication is pretty even all the way around the very nice sort of oval shaped bowl. It looks fantastic to say the least, and I really do like just how smooth this pipe is, yet at the same time just how rusticated it looks as well. I really do like how this pipe looks, to say the least, and I do suppose that is one reason why I like this pipe so much. I am a big fan of pipes that look good, I will acknowledge. Taking a look at the top of the pipe, we can see there are some nicks and everything like that kind of thing, but that is very, 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 very normal for corncob pipes. Corncob pipes are known to have nicks. It just adds to the personality of the pipe, and this pipe is no different. It has a little bit of a nick right there, and right there, I want to say as well. And we can see the top of the pipe itself is not rusticated too much, but there are some like little dark areas right here and whatnot. And it is a little bit of a sort of black sort of smoke color on the very inside at the very top right there, but just taking a look as it goes down, it does get a little bit lighter, and it goes back to that normal sort of corncob color. I definitely have to say it just looks like the top right here has been smoked, or some ash has been applied to it, or something like that. Not exactly sure what that is, but something has been applied to the inside of the pipe, and I'm assuming it's probably to help it make it break in easier or something like that kind of thing. We can see at the very bottom of this pipe that this pipe has the stem just going in just right there, and we can see that this pipe also has a hardwood bottom as well, which means that this pipe will last a lot longer than a corncob pipe without a hardwood bottom, as corncob pipes will smoke themselves out pretty quickly if they do not have a harder, more firm bottom than just corncob itself. But as a whole, I think the outside of the pipe looks fantastic, or the outside of the bowl itself looks fantastic. I haven't covered the look for the rest of the pipe quite yet, but the outside of the bowl looks fantastic. The inside of the bowl looks a little bit better than not as well, although much more functional than not, of course. And I'd have to say I'm a huge fan of how the bowl looks. We can see the stem itself, of course, kind of comes out at an angle, just like that, just because this is a pipe with a bent stem, of course. So it does come across just a little bit more at an angle than not. And we can see the stem itself is just made of hardwood, and it's just a much more bright hardwood than not. Almost, I'd have to say a little bit brighter, actually, than the sort of like look at the top of the pipe and whatnot. Definitely a little bit brighter, not quite as yellow, I definitely have to say, but definitely does not disagree with the look of the bowl by any means. And then we can see there's a little bit of a black plastic ring right there, and then there is a black plastic stem right there as well. This stem does indeed fit a 6mm filter, and there's currently a Medico or Dr. Grabo paper filter in it. Before I go ahead and get to smoking, I am going to get the filter all out, and I am going to put a 7LE balsa wood filter in it, just because that's what I personally prefer. But as a whole, I think this pipe looks fantastic. Just sticking my pinky in this pipe, and we can just see that's how big my pinky is when compared to this pipe. Sticking my pinky in, we can see it goes right about to this knuckle right there. So definitely a little bit deeper than some of my other smaller corncob pipes, like let's say a Missouri Meerschaum Legend or Washington or something like that, but definitely like not as big as a Missouri Meerschaum the General by any means, which is an insanely huge pipe to say the least. As a whole, I think this pipe looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of a deep chamber to it. Looking forward to experiencing just how long this chamber will give me as a smoke sesh. And as a whole, I'm looking forward to smoking out of this pipe, to say the least. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get the stem all off so I can actually get a 7LE balsa wood filter in, well, the stem, if the stem wants to come out. There we go. Trying to get it out without damaging the stem or like loosening up the stem or anything like that kind of thing. That would really suck, but it's really tight. It was really tight in there. Let's go ahead and get this all out just like that. I don't mind using these filters, but my personal preference these days is a 7LE balsa wood filter, and I have some of those with me today, so I'm going to use one of those instead. So I'm just going to go and take this filter right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and shove it in just like that, pretty much. There we go, just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and try my best to get this back on with no issues. Just make sure there's no like dust in there or anything like that kind of thing. We can see right through. There's no sort of, I'm trying to think where y'all can see right through. Let me get my flashlight out real quick. That should probably make it a bit easier for y'all to see right through the pipe. Where's my flashlight at? I got my keys in my pocket. I got my lighter in my pocket. I got everything in my pocket. There we go. There we go. We can see no problems or anything like that kind of thing. Great construction, just like every other Missouri Meerschaum pipe I have ever tried. Let's go ahead and get the stem back on now. Went on a little bit easier than it came off, that is for sure. Just gotta get bent back to where it needs to go. It is about right there, I do think, and I think in mouth, it feels pretty nice. Clenching this pipe, I'd have to say, not too hard by any means, definitely not too hard to clench. Definitely not the easiest pipe to talk with in your mouth by any means, but what pipe is super easy to talk with in your mouth, I will admit. But as a whole, you know, I think it looks pretty good in mouth, and I think it's pretty easy to clench as well. Definitely not the lightest pipe I have by any means. It is definitely very front heavy, of course. So it's definitely not the easiest pipe I personally own, or the easiest pipe to clench that I personally own. But it's certainly not hard to clench by any means. It's certainly easier than some pipes I've tried to clench previously. As a whole, not too bad to clench. Pretty comfortable in mouth, especially due to the plastic stem being much more easy on the teeth. And as a whole, you know, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good as a whole. Well, I do suppose without further ado, now that I've covered the look of the pipe, now that I've covered what it looks like when you're actually holding it in your mouth and everything like that kind of thing, and now that I have gone over whether it's easy or not to clench, and as said, it is a little bit easier than not to clench, although not the easiest by any means, I do suppose now, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and go over the tobacco I have with me today. So what tobacco am I going to be smoking in today's video? Well, today I have some Cornell and Deal Haunted Bookshop Cake, which is a, if I remember correctly, Virginia Burley Perique blend of pipe tobacco, I think. Pretty sure. I think so. Something along those lines. It's pipe tobacco that is not my favorite by any means, but it's still a very solid pipe tobacco nonetheless. And I certainly am looking forward to smoking this pipe tobacco out of this pipe during today's video, I will acknowledge. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get the mason jar I have the pipe tobacco all in, all opened up. Just smelling it. Smells fantastic, getting a very nice sort of fruity, slightly chocolatey, maybe a little bit of licorice sort of smell. As a whole, smells very nice if I do say so myself. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this big brick out, and I've got my check pipe tool with me today, along with my little bit of a rolling tray right here that's gonna help me make sure I don't get tobacco everywhere. And I'm just gonna start breaking apart the brick on the rolling tray I have just in front of me. And I'm just gonna start breaking it apart, just kind of rubbing it out and whatnot. Don't take that clip out of context. I am rubbing out pipe tobacco. I am not rubbing it out in a public park at 6:04 in the afternoon. I'm not doing that. That is illegal. That is messed up. I would not do that. I'm rubbing out pipe tobacco, not rubbing it out. Do not take that clip out of context. I really shouldn't just keep saying this joke because somebody's just going to take it out of context. And then it's going to look really bad until somebody sees the context. But let's go ahead and start putting some tobacco in my pipe now that I've rubbed out some of the pipe tobacco a little bit more so than not. I'm going to try to make sure I do an okay job with packing everything and whatnot. I'm going to go and actually take that all out because I kind of want to get it a little bit more sort of, I'd have to say, sort of less packed together. And I'm just going to fill it all the way up to the top, do a little bit of a tamp motion, and after that I'm going to fill it up again. And there we go. I think I'm all ready to pack it down now. So let's go and take my check pipe tool and let's just go ahead and pack it down very sort of simply with not much pressure at all. And there we go, just like that. Really just using gravity and the weight of my pipe tool to pack it down just like that. Hopefully that is all good. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It really does depend on the blend. I haven't really smoked a lot of this blend, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not really packing it properly. In all honesty, I haven't really learned what the proper packing methods are for this blend yet, but this is a learning experience today. What can I say? Go and fill it up again, and now I'm going to go and pack it down again, just a little bit harder this time. And then I'm going to go and do a little bit more. There we go, just like that. And I'm gonna go and pack it down a little bit even harder this time. And I think that should be all good just like that. Well, I'm gonna go and put the pipe down just real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest of the tobacco that I have on my rolling tray and put it back in the mason jar. Perfect. I did spill a little bit of tobacco on the table in front of me, but it's not too big a deal by any means. I'm not terribly worried about it. That's like literally a cent worth of tobacco, so I ain't stressing by any means. I'm gonna go and put my mason jar back on the table in front of me, and I'm just gonna go ahead and blow all the tobacco off the table. Because if I don't, it's gonna be bothering me all throughout this video. And now, I do suppose I should probably go ahead and get my lighter out of my backpack. Got another lighter with me today. I've got a Zippo lighter, but I'm not gonna be using my Zippo lighter today. Just gonna be using a basic Bic lighter, I do think. Just got a basic pink Arizona branded Bic lighter with me today. That works pretty dang good for lighting pipes, if I do say so myself. But I do think without further ado, it's time for me to go ahead and actually, well, do the first firing of my $18 corncob pipe that was given to me by one of y'all. Thank you so much once again, Torrin. I really do appreciate it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and, well, get smoking out of this pipe for the first time. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? Right off the bat, I do think I should have probably packed it a little bit harder. The draw is very easy, maybe a little bit too easy. Just doing a little bit of a starter light right now. Right off the bat, getting a very nice sort of fruity taste with a little bit of, I'd have to say, like maybe chocolate in there as well kind of thing. I haven't smoked the Haunted Bookshop cake in a while, and it's definitely given me a little bit of a different taste than I remember. A fantastic taste, to say the least. You know, just getting that starter light going. And once it goes out, I'm just gonna tamp it down and then do my official light. Right off the bat, the pipe is smoking very well though. The airflow is very nice, very open. The smoke is definitely cooling down a bit in the stem. The stem by no means is super short, nor is it really super long though. But it's definitely cooling down the smoke just a little bit, even though I am smoking a bit fast right now, I will acknowledge. But the pipe is smoking, the pipe is smoking great so far. The tobacco is tasting fantastic, and honestly, it's tasting quite different than I remember. I don't know exactly why, but it is. Maybe it's because I have had this sitting in a jar for like the last month and a half now. Maybe it's been drying out or something like that kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure. That might be why. I wasn't really the biggest fan of it when I tried it. I mean, like, good tobacco, just not exactly to my personal preference. But now, after having sat in a jar for a while, it is so much more to my personal preference. Maybe it was just my taste palette that day. Maybe it was because it was a little bit too moist. Maybe it was just me. I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely do like it a lot more now than I did before. I'm getting a very nice sort of dark fruits, sort of like apple-y, sort of, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it, but getting a very nice sort of dark fruits taste with a little bit of sort of, I'd have to say like maybe a little bit of like cocoa or chocolate in there as well. It tastes great. And this has just gone out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tamp that down just like that. Got a very good starter light going. And now I'm gonna go ahead and actually do my official light and officially get to smoking out of this pipe for the first time, even though I have already been smoking out of this pipe for the first time. But what can I say? What can I say? Let's go ahead and get back to smoking though. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? right off the bat, this pipe's pretty much smoking like just a bigger version of what I'm used to, in all honesty. I personally own like a bunch of Missouri Meerschaum Legend pipes. I really like them. But I've been wanting something slightly bigger. I also own a Missouri Meerschaum The General, but it's just too big. I bought it because it's like comically large, but it's too big to smoke on a regular basis. But I was wanting something that was like a little bit of a longer smoker than a Missouri Meerschaum Legend, which I really like, but they're like 15 to 30 minute smokers depending on what you're smoking out of them. This is supposed to be more like a 45-minute smoker from what I've heard, which is about to my personal preference for a length of smoke. And so I've been wanting one of these, and it seems right off the bat that that's probably what I'm gonna get from it. I wanna say the actual chamber diameter itself is the exact same as a Missouri Meerschaum Legend / Washington. They're essentially the same pipe, just with slightly different stems, from what I can tell. But I want to say the chamber diameter is about the same, if not exactly the same. And so as such, this pipe is literally just smoking like a bigger version of the Missouri Meerschaum Legend / Washington, which is what I'm most used to smoking out of, I'd have to say. It's probably my most smoked variety of pipe. Which is a very good thing, because it means that this pipe is something I'm already feeling like I'm used to smoking out of. I already feel like I'm used to smoking out of this pipe. Like, for example, when I bought my briar pipe, I bought a Savinelli Bing's Favorite a while back, and I bought it for my birthday. Great pipe. I love smoking out of it. Fantastic. But it definitely took a little bit of getting used to when compared to smoking out of one of my corncob pipes. Before I bought the Savinelli Bing's Favorite, I really hadn't smoked out of many briar pipes before. I'd smoked out of one Dr. Grabo, but that was like it. And when compared to smoking out of a corncob pipe like I was used to, it was very different. The chamber just had a different size, and it took some getting used to say the least. This, on the other hand, I'm already used to smoking out of a pipe of very similar size, very similar chamber diameter. It's feeling like it really is just a bigger version of the Missouri Meerschaum Legend, which it pretty much is, to be honest. The taste I'm getting from the tobacco is really nice. It's definitely different than I remember. I think I previously said this a little bit earlier on, but I tried the Cornell and Deal Haunted Bookshop Cake a while back. And when I first tried it, I mean, like, I thought it was a really good tobacco, but it wasn't really all that much to my personal preference. I don't know why. It is so much more to my personal preference now. Not exactly sure why. Now, when I did try it, I was feeling a little bit under the weather, I'll acknowledge. My throat was not the happiest at that time. I had a cold or something like that, so that could have certainly played a part. But I was still enjoying, like, other tobacco products. It was just that one tobacco product where I was like, it's good. I really like the quality of it. The quality is great. It's just not to my personal preference. But now I'm smoking it, and I'm smoking it for like the first time in, I want to say, over a month. I'm really liking it. I think it might have needed some drying time. I think it might have. And it being in the mason jar has maybe allowed for a little bit of drying time, especially since I broke up the cake before I actually, well, got to smoking and everything like that kind of thing. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe it just needed a little bit of drying time, but now I'm really liking the taste. I'm getting sort of a dark fruits taste, I'd have to say. A little bit of apple. There's like a little bit of, oh man, what is it? Oh, I'm trying to remember like what the fruit name is. It's like, I feel like I'm getting like a little bit of apple, like Granny Smith apple, maybe a little bit of pear, maybe some, oh man, I'm trying to remember, maybe like plum, maybe some sort of like plummy sort of taste. And then I'm getting a little bit of like a smoky sort of taste as well. Or maybe like a smoky taste isn't really the right way of describing it. I gotta really think about what the taste of this is like, but it's definitely different than I remember. It's not entirely different than what I remember, but it's definitely different than what I remembered nonetheless. I'm liking it though. I am liking it. And I'm also starting to feel a little bit of a buzz. I am. The weather today is a bit warmer than not. It's a bit more humid than not. It was raining on the way here, but once I arrived at the park I'm at right now, it was no longer raining, which is very surprising because it said it was supposed to be raining pretty much everywhere when I was driving here. So it's completely dry here, but I'm still sitting under a little bit of a shelter just in case it does start raining. And also I'm sitting under this little bit of a shelter because it's quite windy today. So this building I'm sitting behind right now is doing a pretty good job of blocking the wind for me, which I am very glad of. I'm having trouble determining what the taste is like. I do like the taste though. I think I said this during my my initial impressions with the Cornell and Dale Haunted Bookshop, but I think I remember saying that it comes across like a higher quality, more in-depth codger blend. And I still totally stand by that. I still think that's a very accurate standard, or not standard, but I think that's a very accurate statement in my personal opinion. It really does come across like a more high quality and more in-depth codger blend. It's got all the tastes you might like from a codger blend, but with more. Like just to rattle off some tastes I'm getting, I feel like I'm getting a sort of citrusy, Granny Smith apple, pear, sort of apricot maybe, sort of like taste, with a little bit of, maybe not apricot, I'm not sure. Just sort of a fruity, tangy, citrusy, slightly spicy taste as well, I definitely have to say. I'm definitely getting a little bit of a spicy taste from the perique in this blend. If I remember correctly, there's perique in this blend. And I'm also getting a little bit of a sort of, I'd have to say, like chocolatey, nutty taste. And then I want to say there's like a tiny bit of like licorice-like taste in there as well. As a whole, with tobacco in this pipe, when I'm actually smoking it, how easy it is to clench? Is it easy to clench or not? Yeah, I'd have to say, pretty easy to clench. Definitely not the easiest to clench. I definitely have pipes out there that are easier to clench. But, I know, this pipe, pretty easy to clench. Certainly no complaints on my behalf, that is for sure. I think I'm gonna go and try to grab myself a little bit of a screenshot momentarily. You know, gotta get a thumbnail for the video. Gotta do it to him, you know what I'm saying? you know, had to grab a thumbnail with the YouTube face, you know what I'm saying? Had to do it to him. Hopefully one of those will do for a thumbnail for the video. We will find out. And thankfully the tobacco is still lit as well. I definitely do think the reason why I'm liking this tobacco more is because it's changed a little bit. Because it's dried out a little bit. This tobacco, in my personal opinion, is definitely smoking better than it was when I smoked it the first time. And it's also tasting more to my personal preference as well. Trying to think of what the actual taste of the tobacco is really like, though. It's definitely changed. From what I experienced before. And either way, it's been about a month and a half or so, maybe even more, since the last time I had this tobacco, so I don't even really remember. I remember generally what the taste was like, but I don't remember the exact sort of, what's the right way of putting this? The exact undertones of the taste and everything like that. Train honking its horn in the background. I think I might need a little bit of a sip of water in a minute. Much better. Yeah, this tobacco, it's a lot more spicy and a lot more fruity than I remember it being. I think that's really the best way of putting it. The undertones are more so than not like the same, besides that. There's definitely some difference though. But I'd have to say the taste of the tobacco that I'm getting right now is very much that of a sweet and spicy, savory taste as a whole, with undertones of, oh man, is it sweet and spicy? There's definitely a little bit of spice in there coming from the Preak, for sure, 100%. It's nothing insane though. You know, I'd have to say the taste itself is very much that of a sweet, savory, mildly spicy, citrusy taste with an undertone of like dark fruits, some Granny Smith apple, some little bit of orange, I want to say. I just can't knock the feeling. There's a little bit of orange in there. A little bit of apricot, I want to say as well. Just like a mix of like different sort of darker fruits, not like lemon or lime. There's really no sort of lemon or lime taste in there. It's just really like dark fruits like apple, apricot, a little bit of orange, I definitely have to say. And then there's, I'd have to say, under that, a little bit of a sort of spicy, sort of fruity taste. Once again, from the dark fruits taste. Like the dark fruits itself is both sweet and spicy, but the spicy undertone does come across as being a little bit separate from the sweet taste. There's a little bit of a spicy taste under all of that. Excuse me. And then under that, there's like a little bit of a sort of chocolatey, cocoa-y sort of taste with a little bit of a nutty undertone under that. And then there's a little bit of a, I want to say a licorice taste, like sort of a black licorice-like taste. You know, the sweet and spicy sort of dark fruits like taste, they combine very well together, but you can also kind of tell them apart. They're not just one congealed taste. It's two different tastes that combine together very well. Very interesting. I definitely do like this blend a lot more than the first time I tried it, for sure. Maybe it just needed to be dried out, and I'm thinking that might have been exactly what happened. I am really enjoying this blend a lot more so than I did when I first tried it, let me tell y'all what. And I think it's gone out. Definitely a little bit of tongue bite, but nothing to any extreme degree by any means. Yeah, I definitely have to say, the Cornell and Deal Haunted Bookshop Cake needs some drying time, or at least my tin needed some drying time, 100% for sure. Now that it's dried, it is so much better than it was. Yeah, I really like sort of that sweet, citrusy dark fruits taste with a little bit of that spicy dark fruits undertone with the sort of apple, orange, sort of, is apricot really the right thing? Plum. I think plum is really the right way of putting it. I think it's more like a plummy taste. So sort of apple, orange, plum, and then under that, there's that little bit of that spicy dark fruits taste that isn't really distinguishably one sort of fruits taste or a mix of fruits. It's just sort of citrusy, fruity, dark fruits taste that's a little bit more spicy than not. And then there's that little bit of sort of coca chocolate taste, maybe a little bit creamy, milky, with a little bit of a nutty undertone under that, and then a little bit of like black licorice under that. The taste is pretty dang good, frankly put. And I am, to say the least, enjoying my smoke right now. And I'm also feeling quite relaxed, quite buzzed. I'm enjoying the nature around me. I'm enjoying chatting with y'all right now. I'm enjoying myself, to say the least, and I'm enjoying smoking out of this pipe right here for the first time. It is a fantastic smoker, to say the least, especially for this style of pipe tobacco. Now, I will acknowledge, there is one major thing I am not the biggest fan of this pipe about. There's one thing I don't like so much about this pipe. And it's simply that this pipe has a bent stem. Just not the biggest fan of pipes with bent stems, in all honesty. I personally prefer straight stems, straight pipes. That's just my personal preference, in all honesty. But, you know, I still don't mind. It's not a big deal by any means, and it certainly is not going to make me not smoke this pipe. Especially since, if I really want to, I can always throw a straight stem on the end of it. Ain't no biggie. If I just had to guess, though, and do take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because I've never smoked out of a Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman with a straight stem. Never smoked out of one of those. I've only ever smoked out of this one right here, which has a bent stem. But if I had to guess, I am thinking that the bent stem is probably a better clencher than the straight stem. I prefer straight stems, just more to my personal preference, looks-wise, smoking-wise, everything like that. I just don't really like the pipe to kind of droop down too much when I'm holding it sort of loosely with my teeth, when I'm clenching it loosely. Just don't really like that all that much. But I do think that this, the bent stem Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman, is probably a better clencher than the straight stem. Now that's just an educated guess of mine based on my previous experience with, like, let's say a Legend bent stem versus a straight stem. Doesn't really make as big of a difference with those just because it's a smaller bowl and so it's lighter. But with this one, I do think it is a bigger difference, and I do think the bent stem is probably a better clencher than the straight stem, although I very well could be wrong. That's just an educated guess of mine. You know, this pipe, it's smoking fantastically. For me, at least, as somebody who is used to this sort of size bowl, this sort of diameter bowl, and just smoking out of corncob pipes in general, as corncob pipes are, generally speaking, what I smoke out of most, I'd have to say. As somebody who's used to smoking out of corncob pipes with a similar size to this pipe, although a little bit smaller, this pipe is super easy to smoke out of. It's a great smoker. The smoke is not coming through too hot by any means. It's doing great. It's doing great in all honesty, and I am loving smoking out of this pipe right here. I do think it has gone out again, though. I'm just going to tamp it down a little bit firmly. And I'm going to go ahead and get back to smoking. And it has turned to a very sort of fine gray ash. But I think I still have a decent amount of smoke left, a decent amount of tobacco in the bowl left, if I had to guess at least. The pipe itself does heat up a little bit more so than not, especially since I've been puffing away quite quickly today. I tend to have a faster smoking cadence than not. But it's not heating up to any super extreme degree. It's not heating up too much by any means. It's a more comfortable warmness than not something I'd want to hold super tightly for too long. Although if it was cold out, I'd probably want to. It's just a bit warmer outside than not so much. I gotta admit, y'all, I'm enjoying smoking out of this pipe. I'm also feeling quite buzzed. This tobacco is doing a good job of getting me buzzed. You can definitely tell it's got some strength to it. It's not insanely strong by any means, but it's getting me good. Especially since I've only had 2 cigarettes today, and this is really my 3rd official smoke of the day. The bit itself is very easy to clench due to the fact that it's got these little bits right here. Very easy to kind of hang those on your teeth. A while back, I got in the habit of like, I like to watch like an episode or 2 of TV before I go to bed. Well, I say an episode or 2, like last night I watched like 5 episodes of TV. Not like 5 40-minute episodes, it's like 5 20-minute episodes. But I watched a lot more TV than not, I'll acknowledge. but I like to watch some TV before bed and whatnot. And I got in the habit of like kind of going outside and smoking pipe while I'm watching TV before bed, which is super nice. Great time to say the least. But that became like my routine kind of thing for like a solid week, 2 weeks. And it was so nice because I was smoking pipe like every day, getting through my stash and whatnot. But it's been so hot and so muggy and so buggy these last couple weeks to a month that I have not been able to smoke outside where I live just because there's so many bugs there. Like where I'm sitting right now, I'm just very thankful there's not a lot of bugs and whatnot, or a lot of mosquitoes, I think is really the right way of putting it. There's bugs, but they're all like wasps or bees or some other bugs like dragonflies or something like that kind of thing. There's no really like mosquitoes right here at least. If I go down there, there's mosquitoes. Right here, for some reason, there's not a lot of mosquitoes. Knock on wood. But I've been smoking pipe a lot, just simply because I haven't been able to really smoke pipe at home without getting tons of mosquito bites. And it's not really enjoyable to smoke if I get a lot of mosquito bites. I could go for a walk, like just walking and smoking, but I don't know, when I'm smoking pipes a lot of time, I enjoy just kind of sitting down. And just haven't really been able to sit down at home and enjoy a good pipe for a little while, so this is really nice to say the least. It's been, last time I had a big bowl was probably 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, so I'm very happy to be having a nice big bowl today. I think that this pipe would make a really good travel pipe. Like when I was on a trip a couple weeks ago, went up to Canada, I brought one of my Missouri Meerschaum Washington/Legends. I brought my Missouri Meerschaum Christmas Washington in specific. Great pipe, but it was a bit small in all honesty. I had the opportunity to smoke once while I was on the trip. I'd bought a cigar or two at a shop, and they had a patio out back, and they were like, yeah, you want to smoke on the patio since you bought something? And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm not going to smoke one of the cigars, but I'll smoke some pipe that I got with me. And so I did just that. And it was a bit small. I could have gone for a little bit of a longer smoke. That was actually perfect because the like 5 minutes before the smoke, or 5 minutes after the smoke ran out, my parking expired. So it was actually the perfect length bowl. But I definitely could have gone for something a little bit more, frankly put. And I think that this would be a really good travel pipe. At least for me, I think it would be a really good travel pipe. Not too small, not too big. If you break it, if you lose it, if it disappears for whatever reason, you ain't too worried about it because it's $18. It's not like you're losing a $100 or $200 pipe by any means. I think my general opinion on this pipe is as follows. It's a really good smoker. I think it's a really good daily beater more than likely. And I also think it's a great travel pipe. Smokes really good. I bet it would probably smoke Virginia Flakes pretty well because it's a taller, more thin bowl than not. But it also smokes Burley Virginia Perique blends very well. And I'm assuming Burley and Virginia blends very well as well. Yeah, and probably would smoke Vapors pretty good as well. Virginia Perique blends, that is. No, I'm not an expert on pipe smoking by any means, I'll acknowledge. But my general take on this pipe is that it's a good all-around pipe, smokes really good, has a really nice, satisfying size to it. You get a satisfying sort of length from your smoke out of it. Decent quality, especially for the price. Very good quality for the price, I'd have to say. Great smoker, great beater pipe, and I think it would be really good for travel because if you lose it, you're not going to be too worried about it. This does keep going out, so I am going to just see how much I have left. I'm just going to kind of swirl the ash around just a little bit, and I think, wow, I think we're actually pretty much done. There's a little bit left. There's just a little bit of tobacco left. I'm just going to get it lit one more time, and then after that, I'm going to be all done. I know I keep seeing some people say you shouldn't smoke your dottle because it can damage your pipe and everything like that kind of thing, but I'm not too worried about it, in all honesty. I'm not terribly worried about it, especially since I'm breaking in this pipe in today's video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and just get this lit up one more time, and then after that, after it goes out for the last time, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my official final thoughts on this pipe. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a rating, and then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right there, I do think. Let's go and get this pipe lit up one more time, though. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I gotta admit though, the Haunted Bookshop cake, the Cornell India Haunted Bookshop cake, is so much better when it has a little bit of dryness on it. I'm enjoying it just a lot more. I am maybe getting a little bit more tongue bite off of it this time, but I don't mind. I don't mind. I prefer the flavor so much more, and it smokes so much easier. I've only had to relight just a couple times during today's video, not much at all. Nope, did it really just go out again? I'm gonna try that again. Excuse me, had to burp just a little bit. Well, in total, I'd have to say I got almost a 45-minute smoke. We're at the 54-minute mark right now. Now, granted, I have been talking. I have been puffing super hard by any means. But, definitely a longer smoke than I would have gotten out of my Missouri Meerschaum Legend or Washington with the same tobacco. I would have probably gotten like a 25, maybe 30-minute smoke out of that pipe. This is more like a 40-minute pipe, 45-minute pipe, I definitely have to say. Probably more like an hour, 15 minutes if you're smoking like a Virginia flake or something like that kind of thing. But definitely a longer smoking pipe than not. Definitely very much to my personal preference for more lengthy smoke sessions. I like it. It is a good smoking pipe, though. I can confirm. Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman, it's just as good as everybody online says it is. And if you don't believe me, well, it's only 20 bucks. Find out for yourself, I do suppose. Definitely getting quite tongue-bitey towards the very end. I think that's mainly due to the fact that I'm pretty much just smoking dottle now. Dottle just means the tobacco at the very bottom of the pipe that's kind of already partly ashy. But not too big of a deal by any means. I'm feeling very satisfied with today's smoke, to say the least. It's been a very good length. Sometimes when I smoke, I'm like, man, I wish I just had a little bit longer to smoke, kind of thing. And I'm like, man, I wish it would be just a little bit longer. And that's honestly what I feel a lot of times with like my smaller pipes that I have. But this is about perfect. It's about right. Feeling quite buzzed, feeling good to say the least. Having a good time. Well, did not mean to whip my sunglasses off like that, but I just accidentally did. I'm just looking at a tree line across a field that's in front of me, and there's a kite stuck in the tree. It's been there for like, I think months, if not years. It's been there for a very long time. I caught that with my teeth. I almost dropped it by accident. That would have been bad. I do suppose. I was thinking this was going to go out a little bit faster than it has, but it hasn't. So I think now I'm going to go and start talking about my final thoughts on this pipe right here. So what are my final thoughts on this pipe? Do I like it? Do I not? I'd have to say as a whole, I like this pipe, the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman with the bent stem, much more so than not. It's a great, really easy smoker. At least for me, it's really easy to smoke out of. I'm very used to this sort of chamber diameter, so I kind of know exactly when I need to take hits and everything like that kind of thing. If you're used to other Missouri Meerschaum pipes, this pipe will also be a very easy smoker to you. It's a great smoker as a whole, in my personal opinion. Had no problems with any sort of, I'd have to say, fluid buildup on the bottom of the pipe. No sort of gurgling or anything like that. Of course, this pipe smoking great. Very smooth airflow, very nice airflow, really comfortable to clench as well. Not the most comfortable to clench pipe I've ever used, but definitely more comfortable to clench than not, especially due to the plastic stem being very malleable under your teeth. And I do think it's now officially gone out. As a whole, I think the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman is a great just smoking pipe. It's a great beater pipe. I think it's also a great travel pipe. The length of the smoke you get off the pipe is around about 45 minutes to like 40 to 50 minutes, I'd have to say is probably the right span of thinking. At least for sort of like ribbon cut or cake style pipe tobacco, I think probably right around like 40 to 45 to 50 minutes is probably about right for the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman. Honestly, perfect length for exactly what I want from a nice long smoke sesh. Not something too long, not something too short, just enough to satisfy me. Frankly put, and perfect for 2 episodes of anime, if I do say so myself. As a whole, great smoking pipe. I really like the length of the smoke that it provides. I really like the fact that it's not too expensive, so if it breaks or if it disappears while I'm on vacation, it's not too big a deal by any means or anything like that kind of thing. As a whole, great smoking pipe, great travel pipe, great beater pipe, great smoking pipe as a whole, and I've really enjoyed smoking out of the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman bent pipe today, to say the least. Would I buy this pipe right here with my own money? I most certainly would, and I might just have to buy one of the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman straight bit pipes in the future, as that is my personal preference in all honesty. But I'm also thinking I might try to put a straight bit on this pipe right here, as in all honesty, straight pipes are just my personal preference. But, you know, I don't mind the bent version of this pipe by any means. It's a great smoker to say the least, and I have really enjoyed smoking out of it today, and I'm sure I will enjoy smoking out of it lots more in the future as well. But, you know, I'd have to say, might stick a little bit of a straight bit on this pipe just because it's more my personal preference, and it's going to be an interesting experiment to see how a bent stem does, or how a pipe that is meant to be bent does with a straight stem on it. It'll be interesting to say the least. Might just have to do that in the future. You know, I think that's pretty much all I had to say for today's video. Oh, I forgot to give this pipe a rating. I need to do that now, don't I? I'd have to say if this pipe had a straight stem, it would be a 4 out of 4. But because it's got the bent stem, it's just not quite to my personal preference, but it's still very much a 3 out of 4. This is still definitely a pipe I would buy again. For context, my rating scale goes from a 1 to 4, with 1 being like, this is horrible, never buy this, 2 being like, you know, this is okay, but I wouldn't buy it again personally. A 3 out of 4 is like, you know, this is pretty dang good, but it's not like the best thing ever. And a 4 out of 4 is like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. For me, like the Savinelli Bing's favorite is very much like a 4 out of 4. For me, like my Missouri Meerschaum Christmas Washington is like a 4 out of 4. And I'd have to say, if this pipe had a straight bit, it would 100% be a 4 out of 4 as well. I really like the quality of this pipe. I really like the length of the smoke it gives me. I love how easy this pipe is to smoke, especially since I'm already used to smoking pipes that are very similar to this. I really like this pipe, and it easily gets a high 3 out of 4. But as said, due to the fact that it has a bent stem, it's getting a 3 out of 4 rather than a 4 out of 4. But if it had the straight stem, it'd be getting a solid 4 out of 4. Nonetheless, though, I really like this pipe, and I'm certainly going to be featuring it in more videos, and I'm certainly going to be smoking out of it lots more in the future. And I may have to buy another one of this model pipe, frankly put. I do really like it. Thank you so much once again to Torin for having been kind enough to contribute this pipe to the channel for me to make a video on and for me to just use in general. I really do appreciate it. A huge shout out once again to Torin. thank you so much for the contribution, my man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for making this video possible today. But I think that's pretty much all I had to say for this video. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching my first firing, the first firing of my new $18 corn cob pipe, the Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman in specific. Gave it a little bit of a review. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this little bit of a review, this little bit of a video in general. And if you guys have, of course, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. Box, and my second channel, all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?